Coming to you live from the One More and I'm Out of Here / Legal Shift Studios. We are back with another edition of One More and I'm Out of Here. And Andrew is back in the building, everybody.
Back in town.
He's back. He's safe. I know everybody was worried. The amount of emails, DMs that I got, worried about his safety and his well-being.
It's good to be loved.
And actually, I got zero, Andrew. But
no, that's okay.
Hey, tell us what you did. Tell us, where were you?
None of your business.
All right. Well, that's all right. Well, cool. All right. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Nothing. I was up in Michigan taking care of some stuff.
Taking care of some business.
And, I had, oh boy, that shows up really well there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Look at that. Check that out.
It's amazing.
3D printer. No, I was up in Michigan just chilling for a couple of days, playing with my boat. I ran into Harold Ford Jr. that you saw. Had some words with him. The funny thing about, so he walks.
How funny is this? I see this come across my Facebook fucking feed, and I'm like, "Are you shitting me?"
I'm glad
you run into fucking people everywhere.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. So you got to be kind of cool and not be that guy that's like, "Oh my god," So I waited till he was like kind of like alone off to the side, and I just said, "Hey," I said, "I don't want to bother you on vacation, but you mind if I grab just a really quick pic? I'd have some people who get a kick out of it back in Cincinnati." So. He was gracious enough to do it. We had a nice conversation while we were sitting down at coffee. He joined our coffee club. I call it the Old Man Prostate Club up there in Harbor Springs. But I'm the youngest by probably, I don't know, 20, 25 years.
He sat down and hung out with
he sat down. He sat down. So we had about 7 people at our table that we do every morning there down in town. And we don't usually talk politics. We really don't. We talk about anything but politics. But the people there are fairly conservative, most of them, except for one guy. But, and he sat down, he wanted to know, where everybody was from, how long they lived there.
And give some background on Harold Ford for anybody.
Yeah, anyone that doesn't know. So Harold Ford, there's a program on Fox News called The Five, and I think it's on at 5. But it consists of 5 commentators, Dana Perino, Judge Janine, Gutfeld, Jesse Waters, so that's 4, and then they throw a liberal in there, and usually it's Harold Ford, and he's moderately tolerable. Sometimes they throw other ones in there that your eyes bleed,
right?
But he's moderately tolerable, and we had a nice discussion. I mean, he has an interesting background. He does, he's fairly intelligent for a Democrat guy, and he's was interesting, and he was very gracious, and he just wanted to see what everybody there did and kind of learn a little bit about the lay of the land. It'd been about 25 years since he's been back up there, and he was kind of just getting the feel for the place. So it was, hey man, it was nice of him to do. I was kind of laughing because he came out and I was like, I think that's him. I said, but I'm not sure. But then
don't you hate that? You're like, oh,
I was like,
I think I know that guy.
It's either my parole officer or, and I was like, I was sitting there and he had a Ford hat on. And that's when I was like, yeah, he's got to be, so if you're doing stuff like that, you kind of want people to recognize you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're expecting it.
It's not like I walk around with a big, picture of myself on a shirt.
Papass.
Which I've done. The Hulk shirt.
And the Trumpmobile.
The Trumpmobile.
That's parked out front.
It is. I hope it's still there when I get out of here. But no, it was a good time, and I relaxed for a couple of days, and then I got back later in the day yesterday, and then it's a long drive up there, so it's 8 hours. You drive, you're aware, and then
I've ridden my motorcycle up there.
Yeah, and you're still picking bugs out of your teeth, and
hey, no shit.
And we got back, and this morning my wife said, "Oh, I've got good news," and I was like, "Oh, really? What's the good news?" And we win the lottery? No. I found some puppies we have to go look at.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I had to get back in the car and drive to Bowling Green, which is
Kentucky or Ohio?
Kentucky.
Okay.
And that was about.
At least you were backtracking.
Yeah, I know.
Because that would have drove me fucking. We literally just drove past this fucking place.
Yeah, that would have been worse. But no. So I spent the rest of today, just as I got some feeling back in my sciatic nerve, that I got back in the car for another 3 hours down there. But the good part of today was the exit that I had to get off of it in Kentucky has a brand new Buc-ee's.
Oh,
So I
shit.
got to stop at Buc-ee's.
Was that
again.
Richmond? Is
I
that
don't
the
know.
Richmond exit?
Dude, I don't know. It's an exit. It's off of 65.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's not. That's off of 75.
Yeah, that's not
No,
the
this
closer
is-
one.
Yeah, so no, that is closer. And so I had some good Texas barbecue, which is very good there. And they also had I did not partake, but near the checkout stand, they have a strategically placed cooler full of Bluebell ice cream. And unless you're from Texas, you do not know what Bluebell ice cream is, but it is, Grader's is very good. Don't misunderstand me. Grader's is excellent ice cream and definitely works. But
I've had Bluebell. It's just different.
It's different. It's not as creamy maybe as Grader's, but it's definitely tasty. And so no, I didn't get ice cream because
fuck you, Andrew.
I did
fuck
not.
you right now.
I didn't.
Because Joe Billy, who's upstairs, said, Keith, we gotta go look at some puppies.
Oh
no, we definitely don't.
They were really cute. Here's the deal.
I send you all kinds of TikTok videos with puppies.
So I did not come home with a puppy. I did not come home with a puppy. We looked. It was a weird process. The lady was like, "Well, we want to interview you," and I was like, "Excuse me, like, would you like to interview my money or me?" And she goes, "No, we want to interview you because we don't just give to anybody." And I was like, "What the hell is this about?" But she was a nice lady, and she had some wonderfully cute. We get Shelties, and she had some wonderfully cute dogs, and so we we looked. We did not come home with a dog. I'm not sold that's in the near future, but we'll see. So I'm tired. I'm kind of got the road rash on.
He's tired. He's cranky.
I'm always cranky,
just like he normally is.
Yeah. No,
I mean, if he wasn't cranky,
know what to
I
do.
wouldn't even know.
That's right. But we have lots to talk about today, and I rushed back. I thought the show was going to be a little bit earlier, but you pushed it back.
No, I scheduled it for the correct time. You
was close.
You posted the wrong time. But
6, 7.
But hey, if you're planned for 6th, I know you're going to be here at 7.
How many followers you got on Facebook?
We've got a ton.
How many do you have?
Do I have? Oh shit, I don't know.
A couple of hundred,
maybe.
Yeah, just call me someday, okay?
All right,
just shut up.
That's why I told you edit your shit.
I did. I edited it doing 65 miles an hour with a Buc-ee's barbecue sandwich in my lap. That's okay.
And a pissed off wife because you didn't bring home a dog.
No, she actually, to be fair, it was a joint decision. We're waiting. There's a lot. I mean, it was actually a bit uncomfortable. So I'm with this lady, and she's feeling the dog. She's like got the puppies up, and she's feeling it. I go, "Are you scratching them?" She goes, "No, I'm feeling for their testicles." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm out of here." It's a little too comfortable for me. I mean, some of these things I don't want to talk about with an 85-year-old lady sitting there with an oxygen tube to her neck, to her nose. I was like, "That's okay. We're not talking about testicles here. I got to go. Got to leave."
I don't need the dog.
I don't even know. So anyway.
Holy
it was fun.
shit.
It was a good time, and it was interesting. And you know what? I'll tell you this: if you're having a bad day, I don't care what's going on in your day, how bad it is. I mean, you could see like a mushroom cloud in the distance. If you're sitting there in a fenced-in kennel full of puppies and they're crawling all over you, life doesn't get better.
It's a good day.
It's a good.
That is a good day.
Those puppies, they're just
as long as I can walk away from them.
You know what? Even if you,
we have a great dog.
You do have a great dog
upstairs.
Yeah, he's the dog from The Jerk.
He's
the same dog from The Jerk.
I just don't need another one.
What's the dog's name?
Brody.
Okay, Brody. Good name.
Brody, the lieutenant colonel of the Paw Patrol.
And anyway, he is a good dog, but all dogs are great.
I don't need another one though.
Not a cat guy.
No, definitely not.
Not a cat guy.
So we're on the eve.
Yeah.
Of the start of the DNC.
Yeah, and Harold and I spoke about that. So he's leaving out tomorrow. Harold. H was his nickname, but anyway,
H. That's what his friends call him.
That's his friends call him, but whatever. So he was heading. We talked about it, and we're going to get into it here. But he was leaving there. He's leaving there tomorrow morning. Not divulging any secrets, but he's leaving there tomorrow morning, heading to Chicago. And I saw that. So when we went, obviously to Milwaukee, the businesses all had banners out. Welcome, blah 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 blah. Special this, convention special that, come on in, have a convention beer or whatever, home of the Milwaukee, whatever they are. And it was fun. I mean, they were welcoming. I see a report today. I think that's St. Louis, but that's neither here nor there. It's the same state. We're not close enough.
It's Anheuser-Busch.
Midwest, whatever. So anyway, we're sitting there today, and I read a report that downtown Chicago, and you're gonna say why, but they're boarding up downtown Chicago because they are scared to death of the riots and violence that's going to occur during the Democrat convention. And we're going to also talk about some of the things that are being offered, just for your
The amenities.
Yeah. We call it convention swag.
Right.
And most time it's a bag full of, knickknacks and little things. But
It's not.
the Democrats have a different idea.
It's not cutting your bag.
That's right.
No, it's fucking amazing to me. So, John, our friend from Failure to Stop, is always good at throwing us a thumbnail and helping us out. And I'm trying to find which one is this. But Chicago mayor warns influx of illegal migrants.
Yeah.
So what I found interesting with this is more right into it. Drinking Bros podcast I listen to every day. And I love Ross Patterson and Dan Holloway. And they're in Texas. They're out of Austin.
Right.
And they never call Greg Abbott by his fucking name. It's just a wheelchair.
Oh, that's
what
horrible.
they say,
That's
which
horrible.
I think is fucking hilarious. But Chicago mayor warns of influx of illegal migrants could come to the city before Democratic convention. So
Read down in that article. Did
Yeah.
you see the most interesting quote in that article from his speech, from his thing?
is it this one? Is it this one that I'm hovering over?
No. Yeah.
Oh.
Wait. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I posted that. That's it. That's it. And so
I'll read part.
remember last week we spoke about how the mantra of the media and the Democrats was what? Kamala Harris was never the borders. Never the border. Well, apparently, this guy who looks like a black Pee Wee Herman of sorts, with his hair, and you thought you would, I thought that you probably couldn't do worse than their prior mayor in Chicago. Well, there is a worse, and it can always get worse. Read that quote.
Yeah, so the quote reads, until President Biden and Border Czar Harris step up and do their jobs to secure the border, Texas will continue busing migrants to sanctuary cities across the country like Chicago to provide much-needed relief to our overwhelmed border towns, Abbott's office told the Daily Mail.
And the funny thing that always pisses me off about that, and when I hear Democrats or Democrat cities, and most people don't realize, who the only public official that went down to the city of Cincinnati chamber council meeting and berated them for what they were about to do about declaring Cincinnati a sanctuary city? The only person that did that? You're looking at him. So I marked down there and I make, public comments, and Cranley was the mayor then.
Yeah.
He said, he recognized me, and I was like, dude, whatever. Whatever, it's politics, but I said, this is ridiculous. You guys are doing this for optics. I remember when they did that. And, it's okay for cities like El Paso and Del Rio and other cities along the border in Arizona to be overrun and inundated, and no one cares, right? Nobody cares. These Democrats don't care. But they declare themselves sanctuary cities so they can virtue signal to the rest of the world how just open-minded and progressive they are. But then when the shit hits the fan, and the migrants say, hey, let's go to these sanctuary cities, right? Vamonos. All of a sudden, it's the governor's fault of the state that's busing them there. It's his fault. Like New York, I saw a report. I think New York has spent $2 billion. It's in the billions of dollars on migrants, housing them, supports, gift cards, prepaid cards, calling cards, phones, whatever. And, that's not Biden's fault. It's not Kamala's fault. At least he's placing blame there where it should be. The border was fixed. Trump had the border secure. There was a process, remain in Mexico. They were not sending caravans here. And the very day that Joe Biden took office and he reversed every Trump mandate and by executive order, and basically welcome the migrants, the caravans began, and they were big and they were huge and they were overpowering. And the poor people that live on the border that had to suffer that daily. I mean, the guy that was
on a regular, yeah.
And then they prosecuted the 85-year-old guy that was protecting his property on the border in Arizona. Yes. That sadly had to shoot somebody. He wasn't a mean guy. Right. He was protecting his property. Felt in danger.
They were trespassing.
Correct. But look, this is what you get. Elections have consequences, folks. And you chose poorly this last election, and I think you're reaping the rewards of it. God knows every time you go to the grocery store, you reap the rewards of it. I'd like to ask.
So they're saying that we realistically and I'm using this in quotes,
quotes.
expects 750 to 1,000 new arrivals next week.
Okay.
I
Good.
think that number is going to be way higher than that. Me personally.
I will tell you this. I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on in Chicago. I don't look forward to violence in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. No, I agree
However, and I'm not encouraging violence. However, this is Democrat on Democrat. This is the policy. The roosters, as they say, are coming home to roost, and this is a byproduct of their own policies. And I think it's going to be primarily. You correct me if you disagree, but I think it's going to be primarily the pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli forces outside are just going to be going ballistic.
So that was another article that I pulled. I don't have it. I don't think I have it, but I did read an article where they're downplaying that. Now they're backstepping in the fact that, well, we don't think that it's going to be that big of an issue.
Why are they boarding up businesses?
The first article that I saw was it was going to be fucking melee, and with you, I hope it's not.
I hope it's not.
But Chicago's a shithole anyway, and I love the city of Chicago, but I don't feel safe when I go.
Who does?
Unfortunately, I used to go there, many years ago, and had no issues. I have no desire to go there.
Remember the Miracle Mile in Chicago?
Yes.
Remember the what is it? The Water Tower Mall? I think it is the Water Tower. Some mall down there. All that's empty. I mean, way back in the day, about 1,000 years ago, I was drugged there, and I had to sit in Crate and Barrel and register for wedding gifts that we never used. But that's not the point. The point is, God, we all did that at some point. But here's the deal. At the end of the day, Chicago has more shootings than some countries in a day. And I mean, it's sad what's happened to a once great city. But again, elections have consequences. And when you coddle criminals and encourage and reward bad behavior, much like LA has done, much like San Francisco has done, you declare these places sanctuary cities from illegal migrants, for illegal migrants, and in California, when they declare that these are drug sanctuary zones, right, that you can do heroin or whatever else you want to do, we'll give you the needles per se. Dude, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's coming down the bend, and the towns go to shit, and then they're going to look to whom to repay them and rebuild them. Uncle Sam is going to have to go in there and give these cities loans or at least federal grants to rebuild it. And that, I don't want my tax dollars going to reward bad behavior because of you've elected stupid politicians.
So Jill posted, how is it that no cities or states nor the federal government have any money to house or offer enough services for our homeless veterans, but suddenly cities have billions to spend on migrants? Which Jill and I talk about this all the time because we have a ton of friends that are former veterans. I mean, knock on wood, none of them are homeless.
No.
But with my line of work, I see so many people that I'm making EMS runs on that don't have the any of the amenities that they need.
Right. That are lacking.
And they serve this country.
Right.
But yet we're going to take care of everybody else. And that's a whole, that could be a whole goddamn podcast.
That could be a whole podcast.
But
and yes, there are a lot of veteran services. You're right. There are a lot of services to veterans, and there's a lot of money given for that. But there's a lot of veterans that fall through the cracks.
And I don't know if you know our buddy Todd Sledge, who
no Todd.
So Todd's been on the podcast and has promoted the VA.
Yeah.
What they offer. But the problem is he's not getting enough money.
No.
And he's a director.
He's making do with the resources he has.
Exactly.
And
but yet he's watching all this money flow out. Just flow out to other things where he's like, look, our people need this.
Why we are prioritizing, and then by throwing federal money at these problems, like by giving these illegal migrants, let's just call them what they are, illegal, here illegally, they've entered the country illegally without going through the vetting process, without coming through the correct parameters that we have set up. And then what do? We encourage that by giving them prepaid gift cards, a cell phone,
right?
Travel to pretty much wherever they want to go. And there's no doubt this is indisputable. The Biden administration from day one was flying them to the interior of the country.
There he is.
Is it Cincy
There
513?
he is.
Oh, hi,
He
buddy.
reared his head. I missed you the last show.
Oh, missed you too.
We needed you.
Not really, but hey, you're welcome here. Just hate has no home here.
Hate has no home.
Be better.
No, it's. I mean, yeah, it's.
So it's not going to fix itself until we decide that we're going to have a strong border, a strong process, not reward these countries for sending their migrants. Venezuela emptied their prisons, their insane asylums. We're it's story after story, day after day that, yes, crime happens here. I don't think we need to import it from other countries just because they wanted to vacate their prisons. And no one can doubt that what Cuba did during the Cuban boat crisis under, I believe it was Reagan, they emptied their prisons and sent them over here. And you're sending bad people over here. Every day there's a story about a migrant either killing or raping or stealing, committing crimes here in the United States. That is the one thing that's the one job that Americans. Sadly, we have enough Americans that will do that. We don't need to import criminals into the United States to bolster our crime statistics.
And then you don't hear anything that happens after the fact.
No,
you don't hear any resolution. You get no resolution whatsoever.
And somebody's life will be shattered. Not even to discuss. I mean, you don't even bring up because we haven't touched on child when they're stealing kids. And they're bringing these underage kids and selling child trafficking, and they're bringing these children here, and they don't know if they're related to the people that are there with them, and they suffer horribly on the way here. They're abused in ways I don't want to even think about.
Watch The Sound of Freedom.
The Sound of Freedom was a great flick.
That will give you some fucking insight.
It'll give you some insight. Bullshit. It'll make you sick. It'll make you angry. But I highly encourage everybody to watch The Sound of Freedom.
I had a mandate with our buddy Dexter Pitts.
Oh, really?
Watching Sound of Freedom.
Oh,
he made sure that we had the seat in between us empty
because he didn't want to.
I was like, well, fuck. I was going to sit there. He was like, no, it's fucking man rule. I was like, I know, but I just figured we were on a mandate. He was like, and he's a very, very dark black man, very large man. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to question it.
That's fine.
But I said, you asked me.
I wonder how many people. I mean, because
you asked me on this mandate, sir.
That movie. I remember I saw that in a very small theater. And it really was the kind of movie that just sickened and angered you to no end because, these are things that we should be fighting. And sadly, with the border policies that under Biden, Kamala Harris, the borders it's only exacerbated the problem and magnified that problem. And it's disgusting. And it was so preventable because of politics by the Democrats, by Joe Biden, by Kamala Harris. They got in on day one and they said something along the lines of, oh, well, Trump was for it, so we're against it. And the numbers don't lie. So you can post whatever you want to post, but simply the numbers don't lie, buddy. That's not what we're saying. 513. See how those words are twisted? It's not what I said.
I agree.
Hey, 513. Hey, 513. Let me ask you a question. You know where my parents came from, buddy? They came from overseas. They were immigrants. I'm the son of an immigrant, okay? But guess what they did that's much different than what's going on at the southern border? They came through legally. And you know what happened to a lot of immigrants in Ellis Island when they were suffering from diseases that were transmittable? You know what they had to do, 513? Because you probably don't know because you've probably never been there. They had to actually quarantine and stay at Ellis Island until they were cleared of tuberculosis or whatever other disease they might have had at the time. And then they were allowed into this country. But what we didn't have back then, and that was a process. The ships came in, they disembarked at Ellis Island, one of the primary points in the east, and they went through the system. We have now is just no border. Zero border, zero vetting. No one knows who's coming across. They don't know what they're bringing. They don't know what diseases they have. I saw that in Denver, I think it was Denver, it might have been in the Midwest somewhere. They had, for the first time in a very, very long time, they had an outbreak of measles that they traced specifically back to migrants coming up from Central America. So, the numbers don't lie. The facts don't lie. Your feelings might be hurt because, you're reading something on whatever liberal troll page you're on most of the day that gives you your marching orders, or you sit there and watch The View probably. But The fact of the matter is, no, immigrants are not bad. Matter of fact, one of the greatest immigrants we have in this country, 513, you know who one of the greatest immigrants that we have in this country that broke every media and every record last week with his interview was an immigrant from
Elon Musk,
South Africa. See, that's immigration. That's a successful immigration story, not because he's wealthy, not because he's rich, not because he thinks of things outside the box and has done more than, frankly, I, or a lot of people put together will do for technology and changing lives and affecting just the whole direction of technology and how we interact with it. But the simple fact of the matter is he came here legally, and that is a good thing. And immigration is a good thing. I'm not saying we should have no immigration.
Illegal migrants.
There's legal and illegal. And when countries empty their prisons and those criminals come across the border unvetted and then come here and commit crimes, how is that making this country better?
And when other countries are sending their gang members up to
Correct.
make the pipeline up through South America,
and guess
through Mexico.
And guess who the happiest people about the Joe Biden administration and Kamala Harris administration migration policy is? 513. You want to know who's become outrageously wealthy during this whole fiasco that you call a policy? Do you know who it is? It is the gangs of Mexico.
Yes, sir.
It is the drug cartels of Mexico. They are flush with cash. They've never made more money. They're selling people. They're selling traffic, and you don't seem to care about it. So you tell me who's the compassionate one, please.
Nicely played, sir. Nicely played.
Yeah,
I knew that
would set me off.
Yeah, well, I knew. I mean, because
it's just ignorance.
It is an ignorant fucking.
It's an ignorant statement. Just ignorance. But
and by all means, Cincy, if you want to call in, I have my phone right here, and the cord is hooked up. If you would like to have the debate,
there's no debate to be had. It's like it's an open and shut thing. It's like talking to somebody that it's like describing something colors to someone that may not be able to see colors.
So his statement, I agree with legal immigration, but claiming these people are all murderers and criminals.
Never said all.
No, we never said all.
Never said all. You might want to replay the tape, bud.
That's never been stated.
Jesus Christ! I just said legal immigration, and not all illegal. You know what?
And never on this podcast has it been all.
No. And you know what? I'll say something else, 513. So just get this straight, because I don't want you to misquote anything that's said on this program. Not all illegal immigrants are criminals, meaning, yes, they broke the law coming here, but that doesn't mean that they were emptied out of a prison in their initial country, their point of origin. A lot of these poor people are just grasping at straws and trying any way, shape, or form to have a better life for them or their families. So they do whatever they can to try to get here. The problem is they're not vetted. And the problem is a lot of them suffer horribly on the way here, especially if they have small children, especially if they have small female children. So you might want to be the compassionate one and say, hey, let's do it correctly, and let's do it where it's legal and above board, and the Mexican cartels don't become rich selling these people into slavery and making a fortune off of their backs. Facts matter, bud.
Jay Hunt said, and Rachel Maddow told Cincy to say that.
Rachel, it's a great guy.
Oh, let's see this.
Now we were talking about Chicago there for a bit, and you had the story on that, and then we were talking about
well, they are emptying the prison. I'm sorry, I'm reading this comment.
Well, I'm not going to have the 513 show. If he'd like to start his own show, we could.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
The fact of the matter is, he's wrong on this issue, and the American public is against it. And the fact that Joe Biden reversed Donald J. Trump's, don't like Trump, I don't really care, but his policies on the border were an outstanding success.
Were outstanding, yeah.
And the migrant train stopped. And no one is worse for these migrant trains than the poor people that are being abused and sold into slavery for that. And if you don't have that compassion, then you don't have a heart. Okay, it's as simple as that. Come here legally, come here through a point of entry, go through the process, get a job, whatever, pay your taxes, and become an American citizen, meld into society. I'm all for that. But flying these people unvetted, if I couldn't get on a plane, or if I couldn't travel around the United States, but remember that was even during COVID, when you had to have a mask and you had to be vaccinated and blah, 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 blah.
You were a second-class citizen in your own country.
Correct. But they're flying these people unvetted, unvaccinated, unmasked throughout the whole United States, put them on planes in the middle of the night. They're landing in New York. They're landing in Chicago. No one knows about it. And the government's flying these people in. But hey, we couldn't gather in big numbers because it was a super spreader. Trump's rallies were super spreaders. Remember that nonsense? Oh, yeah. But anyway, we have an election coming up, and we're going to talk about Kamala, and because she this week will be inaugurated, crowned. I think they have a big crown. They're gonna in a very rare event of being picked not by the voters but by the powers that be within the Democrat Party. And initially, I think the bloom is coming off the rose a little bit. I think you're seeing that as she speaks more. What day are we on? I didn't do the daily. We're on day 20 something.
27.
27.
It's close.
Without a press conference.
Not quoting that, but
she hasn't had a press conference.
She'll do the rallies.
She hasn't done an interview. She did AI rallies. Yeah. They had the fake crowds.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's what I heard. But I mean, she has yet to sit down for an interview. She has yet to have a press conference, which are not hard to call. But she's the second coming of Christ, according to the Democrat Party. Well, I think what people have seen is that they obviously saw that, they were energized because they're like, yay, we don't have a vegetable anymore. We moved on from Joe Biden. But as she has spoken, people are seeing what she says. And even on the left, they're beginning to say, hey, you know what? There's not a lot of substance here. And what she is saying is turning out to be really bad policy. Because as we discussed before the show, so Kamala came out with some, there's very few, if any, on her website, on her campaign page of her policies, other than the one policy she copied directly from Donald Trump, which was, she wanted to give the no tax on tips, which that came straight from Donald Trump. No and if her butt about that. So whatever. So she copied that, but then she came up on this thing about price controls, and everyone, even Democrats, even liberal media people are like, wait, that's like really not a good idea. Why is this what she's proposing? Well, you got to do some research on her family. Her parents were just both, UC Berkeley, not known for its conservatism, especially back in those days. So price controls were installed after Maduro got elected in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. And price controls were even tried under Nixon back in the day, and it was a bad thing. It was horrible for the economy. Price controls don't work, but Kamala suggested imposing price controls once she's president because the cost of things, on one hand, she said, yes, these costs have gotten out of hand, but then she flipped it and said what I'm going to do, because she doesn't understand the concept of inflation. She can't grasp that because she's fundamentally unqualified for the position of being president of the United States. She's never run a business. How did she get her start in politics again, Jason? I forgot.
Blowjobs.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Allegedly.
I was just coughing. I was coughing. My bad.
Hawk Tua.
So,
she doesn't have any fundamental economic policy. And that's not me saying that. There's been now several articles written by people that are economists that says her economic policy, just briefly, as she's described it, is horrible and will result in just a big time hit to the economy, if not a depression. But she wants to do price controls, and she doesn't place blame on inflation at her own, on her own administration, Biden-Harris. She just blames it on corporate greed. And it's easy to do, I suppose, but I see story after story every day how companies are going out of business. And if corporate greed was overrun, if we were just flush with corporate greed, corporations wouldn't be going bankrupt and declaring Chapter 7, restaurant chains, etc., who have had to raise their prices to bear with the price of everything going up, which has primarily been driven by energy costs, which have gone through the roof under the Biden-Harris administration. But Maduro did that. And here's the graph. If you scroll down to that graph, I believe that might not be the right graph, but after Maduro instituted price controls in Venezuela, because they were going through the exact same thing, inflation rate soared to a whopping 1,300%, literally almost overnight, because price controls don't work, folks. That's not the way our system is set up. The other thing I find very, very concerning, we have a clip about I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments and getting distracted. We have a clip. Do you have a clip of her talking about gosh, what's the word I want to use? Intellectual property.
Yes, I do.
So let me just preface it with this. So in the United States, the reason, first of all, we can agree that perhaps we don't manufacture the number of things that we should manufacture here. Like Apple phones are made where? In China. And a lot of the electronics stuff that's cool is made where? China. Okay. For a number of reasons. Yes, labor is significantly cheaper, but also the barrier to building plants, environmental regulations are non-existent. So they can go over there, build a plant, make this stuff.
It's way easier.
Way easier than just ship it back over here. And so it's, I guess, in a way, it's outsourcing your pollution. But the problem is that everyone said, well, you know, the deal is the United States, and even though the Chinese do, and it's been well documented how they steal our intellectual property, they steal patents, they copy stuff, right?
Right.
And they try to make it better. A lot of times it's not, but sometimes they make facsimiles of stuff that we've thought up here in this country.
And they do it a lot cheaper.
Yes, they do. But for example, like people are like, well, but the iPhone was created intellectually here in the United States because we have patents that we protect. And that if you are the originator of an idea and you patent something, you design a better mousetrap and you patent that, you should be rewarded for the fruits of your labor and the property that you've considered. Fighting the Chinese on that is a full-time job.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's patent lawyers out the wazoo.
Absolutely.
And you have, you're talking about separate countries. You're talking about, challenging them in international courts. And it's a very, very complicated and expensive process. And sometimes it doesn't come to anything because, that company may go out of business and another company spring up in its place. Who knows? But to fight the Chinese and your own government would absolutely be just devastating to any creative content, any type of creativity that we have here in the United States. So I want you to listen to Kamala when she's talking about going after ideas or property that corporations have, because she loathes the corporations, big bad corporations.
Their patent so that we will take over. And yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. It's the question is, do you have the will to do it? I have the will to do it.
You don't have the will to do shit. Shut up.
So that was 19, and that's one of the reasons that she did so poorly in the Democratic primary, right? Because people knew what she was talking, but they heard her words and it was polling terribly, and she didn't even get any delegates. Now she's free to do this stuff as president. This is what she believes, but most people don't want to hear her words. And I'm puzzled that people are excited, other than the fact that they may still suffer from, the fact they don't like Donald Trump, and that's personally, but if you go down this road with Kamala, who has yet to have a press conference in over 25 days, she was anointed by the Democrat powers that be to take over for Joe Biden. It was a coup of sorts because they forced out a duly elected by the voters that won his primary. Joe Biden was selected, but the powers that be said, well, we saw your debate performance and you couldn't handle it, and we don't want you as the nominee, so we're booting you out. We're putting her in, and we are where we are right now. She has never held a job other than through, I don't know how to say it, so
just say it.
I don't want to say it the way it needs to be said,
Andrew.
But look, she got her job through maybe less than ethical.
Downtown Willie Brown. Something like that.
Something like that.
That you won't say.
I'm not sure.
I'll do it.
She got her job through less than ethical means, and then used that to climb the political ladder. And now, because Joe Biden said out front that his sole criteria for choosing a vice presidential candidate was he wanted a woman of color to be his vice presidential candidate, and she, I guess, filled the bill on that. And that we are where we are. And if you want to go down the road of saying, yeah, she's not Donald Trump, we want to choose this, you got to understand just the way these Democrat cities have suffered enormously under Democrat leadership and are paying the price for the dumb policies that are anti-police, that are pro-migrant, that are sanctuary-based cities, and the residents that are there are bearing the burden of that cost. You're going to see that at a national level because, folks, elections have consequences, and you might want to come to grips with the fact that, hey, you may not like the guy that is at the top for personality reasons, but for policy reasons, there's no debate between these two candidates. I will take Donald Trump as a businessman all day long and twice on Sunday compared to a Kamala Harris who was truly the most liberal senator in the United States Senate, more to the left than Bernie Sanders, which takes some doing. Who can only thank her ability to find influential men and then pleasure them to rise to a position of some sort of power. That's it. End of story.
Sorry, I got a message to check my phone.
You're like a teenage girl with that thing. Could you put it down?
Well, I'm getting fucking comments
unless we have
info.
Questions from anyone but 513.
I'm getting info
because I don't want to.
I don't have time to look at.
I'm not here to debate. Look, we're here to discuss news of the day. We're here to discuss, what's going on around the country and kind of do it in a fun way. I'm trying to be fun, but
this is fun.
Depressing.
Oh, this is fun. I got a video. We're going to jump all over the place, but I got
because Jason doesn't do an outline, but that's all right.
Never have, never will.
Never will.
Guess what? That's why it's called One More and I'm out of here.
That's right.
This video is fucking hilarious.
I totally missed this Kamala Harris AI video. So I guess Elon Musk reposted it on X, and Gavin Newsom ordered him to take it down, or told him to take it down. And his response to Gavin Newsom, I was not expecting. Now, it is funny as shit hearing it come out of Piers Morgan's mouth. So I'm sorry if you already saw this, if you already know about his response, but you have to hear it coming out of Piers Morgan's mouth. It's the funniest shit ever. All right, here you go.
Elon Musk actually reposted on X a doctored video featuring Kamala Harris. Her voice had been doctored by AI. Let's take a look at the clip first of all.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist.
Now, a number of issues from that. One is, on one level, it's just quite funny. It's a joke. It's a parody. But secondly, that video has now been seen 128 million times on Elon Musk's X account. He said, "This is amazing," with a laughing emoji. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, told Musk to take it down, to which Musk replied, "I checked with renowned world authority, Professor Sug on these nuts." And Professor Sug on these nuts. And he said parody is legal in America, which is a typical Elon Musk response.
I saw that last night, and I almost pissed my pants.
So, did you listen to the Trump Musk interview?
I saw like a bunch of it, and then I had to stop, and I picked up. I don't know if I watched it in
so you
entirety.
Haven't heard. I mean,
but I heard most of it.
Most of it you picked up on it.
Yeah.
Look,
I thought it was awesome. And he invited Kamala Harris to do it.
She won't do it.
And she won't do it.
Well, she can't speak for 2 hours without a teleprompter. That's not possible. She just laughed half the time, and you got to edit that out because it's fluff, and nobody wants to hear that laugh. I listened to it live, and then
this is cute, and this is about to get him fucking blocked. I find it amusing.
That's funny. I think I'd block him. I mean, he's a keyboard. He's very brave on the keyboard. I'll give him that. So here's the deal. So
that shit's funny.
I'd like to know how many people out there that are chiming in here, laughing, making comments. Let me ask you. I mean, I thought I listened to it live, and then I listened to it again on the way back, and in the car. It was real. I mean, it was just a lot of reality going on, and I liked it.
Two guys just sitting there talking back and forth.
And so Musk has posted, or at least said, how many times it's been shared and retweeted, and I don't know the matrix on how that stuff's calculated, but it's like staggering amount of people have listened to and heard this. And I gotta say, I liked it. And what you got to understand is, first of all, I like how Musk speaks. He's just a real guy.
Well, he doesn't care. He's worth so much money. He doesn't give a shit who the fuck he's talking to.
He's just a real guy. And I like that. And I like the fact that he doesn't, I know that him and Trump are not going to agree, on everything, nor should they. No one should. But they respect each other. Because I think Musk is in a position right now where he is calling it as it is. And he's very concerned about the direction this country is for the reasons that I said. I mean, look. He understands about intellectual property. You don't think Tesla has a lot of intellectual property that they've developed and want to protect and doesn't want the government to come in and steal it? And he understands about creating companies and creating jobs. I mean, my God, the only way those poor saps on the space station are going to get back is probably on one of Musk's transports. Mm-hmm. Because I tell you right now, as we discussed a previous show, I wouldn't get my big fat ass in that Boeing Starliner that's sitting there attached to the space station without. I mean, there's just no amount of money. Be like, hey, there's $1 billion in there. It's yours.
They're saying what, February of 25?
God, they went up
what they're estimating.
They went up for like a week, like 5 days. They're going to be up there for like ever. I mean, these poor people.
That would scare the ever-living
It's not only that. They're like, hey, yeah, we fixed it. It was a software glitch. Get back in it. And you're like, well, I thought it had helium leaks. Yeah, we fixed that.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Our bad.
Get back in that. I'm not getting in
Just turn that valve just a quarter.
And it won't come off because you got to be inside to decouple the stupid thing. I mean, and I don't understand why. I just don't understand why we spent the money for Boeing to create something that Elon Musk had already had solved. I mean, yes, originally the first launches of his systems failed, but he's got a pretty darn good track record.
But they failed on purpose.
They failed, and every time they failed, guess what? He learned something.
And I said failed on purpose.
Right.
In the fact, to your point, they learned something.
Every time. And they knew it wasn't going to work.
The first rockets that we started way back when.
Right.
Failed. Failed.
But they knew. He took data. I mean, have you seen the redesign of his Raptor engines? I mean, he has Raptor engine number 1, and you're looking at it, and there's like valves and crud all over it, right? Really complicated, complex design. And then he's like, and this is what we have today. And you look at the design of it from the outside, and there's very few moving parts because the guy is smart. And every time they go up, they learn something. They take data, and they learn, and they modify, and they adapt, and they create. And that's the kind of things what we need in this country. But so getting back to the conversation, I hope they do it again. I hope it becomes a regular deal because and I really hope they might even think about opening it up to maybe, I don't know, some text or phone calls and people, John Q. Public can get on there.
Like a town hall type
thing. Almost make it like a virtual town hall type thing. Because I'll tell you, I think people, I mean, let's hope this doesn't pay off for the Democrat ticket. That you cannot argue that the last time they hid Joe Biden in the basement because of COVID, the pandemic, and this time they're trying the exact same thing with Kamala Harris because she's just not particularly bright and she doesn't speak well, and they're not going to want her speaking off the cuff, so they're going to try to hide her as long as possible. And let's just hope that people see through that. I do too. That didn't help him. And I don't know what he's talking about, but I don't really care.
I'm not sure either.
That's all right. It's probably the buzz is wearing off and, he's starting to see things. Eat another gummy, buddy. I read on the locally Cincinnati, they said the marijuana sales went through the roof. I mean, they had like record number of pot sales at the recreational stores. I still don't want one in Anderson. Thank you very much.
Now that it's real.
Yeah. Oh, so getting back to we're going to go there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was just trying to
getting back. Sorry, we're bouncing all over the place, but so
I love it though.
So the DNC conventions in Chicago, we talked about the violence, we talked about potential violence that we hope does not happen. We talked about stores boarding up. I bet you, I mean, if there's a Nike store there, I'd be like, look, take everything off the floor because the shit's walking out. We don't want it. And they're going to it's going to look like Minnesota all over again. But Tim Walz is going there. Well, he'll be there. So maybe they'll make him feel at home and burn the city down. But here's the deal. At the Republican convention, and I was there, and you could watch it on TV, not because I was there that I know more than you. That's not it. But it was a very family, and actually Harold Ford Jr. commented on this. So I can back up that this was a Democrat's point of view. He said it was really friendly. It felt like a very, very family-oriented event where everybody was nice, everybody was loving on each other.
Everybody was welcomed.
Everybody was welcomed. He did not feel unwelcomed. Everybody was friendly, and he felt like it was just a very unifying event. At the Democrat primary or the Democrat convention, let's talk about what the services they're offering. Now, I don't have a problem with one portion of this. So the Democrat primary at the Democrat convention, Planned Parenthood is offering to the general public. Go ahead and show that.
Planned Parenthood offering free abortions, vasectomies at the DNC.
And I hope every Democrat goes out there and has a vasectomy as soon as possible, because then in a few short years, we might just have a solution to the whole party problem that we face in this country. But I think it's disgusting that this is one of the things that's being offered and promoted as a source of, hey, come to the Democrat convention, come to Chicago, and you too can get that vasectomy you always wanted. And if you want an abortion, you might not even want an abortion. Hell, you should just, get pregnant so you can come to Chicago and get an abortion. I'm sorry, folks, that's ghoulish. That's sick.
So the quote is, "Here we come, Chicago," with an exclamation point. Yeah. Our mobile health clinic will be in the West Loop with at Shy Abortion Fund and at the Wiener Circle, August 19th through 20th, providing free vasectomies and medication abortion. Wow. EC will also be available free without an appointment.
Yeah,
you don't even have to make a goddamn appointment.
Just come on, roll in.
You don't have to make any effort.
So we're like we talked about. We're not. So that's convention swag. So come to Chicago, and rather than getting a bag full of stuff, we're gonna.
Did you see any of this at the RNC?
No. No, sir.
To throw some light on the subject, I mean, did you see any IV vans?
No.
Yeah.
No, didn't see.
I think IV vans would have been good.
Yeah, I mean, look,
you don't drink, so
I don't drink, so I don't need to get
hammered.
I don't need to get flushed so that I can go to work the next day. But
I think that would have been good. I'd rather see IV vans than a fucking vasectomy and abortion van.
Could you imagine? I mean, just imagine.
Hey, just climb up in this van.
Hey, what are you doing?
It's a white panel van with a dragon on the side of it. I got free candy.
Hey, what are you? That's right.
You get a Jolly Rancher.
I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to the convention. What'd you do? I got a vasectomy. I got an abortion. Oh, that's great, man. More power to you.
So the article continues to read, Democrats have made the issue of abortion a central theme in their campaign across the country this election year, including warning that a Republican control of the Congress in tandem with another 4 years in the White House for former President Trump would mean a nationwide ban. Since the reversal of Roe versus Wade and Vice President Kamala Harris stepping in to replace President Biden, the Democratic Party has doubled down on rhetoric surrounding a quote unquote women's right to choose, end quote.
Right. Since
you're going to throw vans out there.
Since they're not acknowledging the fact that since the Supreme Court returned that to the states, the actual number of abortions has risen. So, and that's just numbers. That's not speculation. And even the Democrat darling on the Supreme Court for all those years, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, knew strongly that Roe v. Wade was bad law and would be overturned, and thought it should be overturned, actually. So, you can moan and you can groan, but for example, here in Ohio, before this law was overturned, I believe and it was the subject of a lot of press, but I believe that what was it at? It was like 12 weeks, something in Ohio. I can't remember the specific thing.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. But then the law, the Roe v. Wade, was overturned, and then it went down to a very low number that was like really low, and they formed a citizen a ballot initiative, because in Ohio the Constitution can be changed with 50% plus one. And the voters voted, and now Ohio has actually very, very liberal abortion laws, which is really kind of funny considering how conservative the state is. And my point in saying this is there is no federal guideline here in Ohio, yet we have very liberal abortion laws here. And it's upsetting and it's troubling to those that are pro-life. But, you know, the Supreme Court has ruled on this, and there was a ballot initiative, and we sadly got a ton of money flowed in from out of state, and voters went in and, you know, just voted. And we're bearing the results of that. And that's why I always say, I go back to the thing, elections have consequences, and you might want to inform yourself before you act emotionally and then come to regret it at a later date.
Fucking Jay Hunt said, you hear that? Since you can get an abortion in Ohio.
Doesn't he have to have a girlfriend?
Oh,
or
and I'm
a girl, whatever.
I'm not. I sent something in the chats, and we'll see where it goes.
No, I don't see all the chats, so bear with me.
Yeah, they're a little delayed on Andrew's part, and he's blind, so he can't see.
I can't see your computer, and
you
I
can't
can't
see my
up there. So this week we're going to have a lot of material thrown at us, and I hope everybody just gets on there and watches the news and sees how it is. But I had to laugh. The press initially heard their response to Kamala's price control thing. Initially was shock, and they said, well, she can't really mean that, even though she said it. And then now I've seen a slow rollout of how they said, well, she really couldn't do that anyway, so it really doesn't matter what she thinks, and that's not really what she meant, but it is what she meant.
Well, and the liberal media is blowing up her economical plan.
Oh,
I mean,
she really didn't have one. I mean, the only thing
one.
she's in, there it is right there. Cracks in the media. Go ahead.
Yeah, cracks in the wall. The media praise for Harris, ? Multiple outlets eviscerate VP over price control plan.
It's just not a good idea.
Liberal media is now starting to turn on her because they're saying it's just not plausible.
Because the emotion of the choice has worn off. So the emotion of, oh my God, it's not Biden. Thank God we have a savior. It's Kamala. But now they're saying, oh my God, she's an idiot. And what she's saying is stupid, and we have to analyze it because it's going to be bad for the country. Because I still believe that there are some people, although they might not agree, conservatives and or liberals, that they might not agree, that even there's some liberals that I would clearly say want the country to be as good as it can, might have a different vision for it, but they don't want to suffer. And they know that some of her ideas, especially this one, would cause them and the country to suffer and the economy to suffer. So they're not fundamentally bad people. They just have different ideas on how we get to be a good country. And I think that we're going to have to analyze her words and her plans, but she hasn't released anything. But she won't have a press conference.
She hasn't talked to anybody. She hasn't released shit.
She won't have talked to the media.
And even before she was vice president, didn't do shit.
No, she didn't do anything. She was the border czar.
So there is nothing.
Ukraine czar, and then she was,
there's nothing to back it. You have no backing.
She praised the withdrawal of Afghanistan after that was a debacle, which we don't even talk about that.
So when you were a sitting trustee, and just play this hypothetical game with me though.
Yeah.
And you've got a new fire chief,
right?
That is going to come in, and you're interviewing. They have a jacket of what they've done, and you've reviewed that before you go into this interview process, right? So you're looking at their credentials, you look what they, their certifications, all this stuff,
right,
and you're vetting them,
right.
She wasn't vetted for shit.
She was not vetted. Most importantly,
to even be vice president now, let alone be fucking president. Are you shitting me?
But they were in a pickle because obviously, as we discussed on that show, they couldn't dump her or else they would have a revolt on their hands by their party base. So
I understand what they did.
Yeah,
I'm just saying she should have never been in the position.
You know who she was. Most importantly, Jason, you raise a great point. You know who she wasn't vetted by. You want to know who she wasn't vetted by?
Joe Biden.
Democrat. Well, maybe, I don't know, but you know who she wasn't vetted by? Democrat primary voters did not have the opportunity to vet her because she was not on the ballot. She was not a choice for her to be president of the United States. It was forced upon them by a very, very small group of Democrats in back rooms with backroom deals. This decision, although it pleases people like 513 who think that maybe they have a chance to beat Donald J. Trump because the election was over. I mean, well before. I mean, the election was over after that first debate. Joe Biden was going to lose badly to Donald Trump.
I got something before we end. I know we're running long. This one's going to go a little bit longer.
A little bit longer because we,
But I have this other video too.
Okay. We should make an outline.
Well, why? Why? This is fun.
Okay.
Are you not having fun?
I'm ecstatic.
All right. I love this.
Doesn't show.
Love this country, love this land, but we spiral. Gotta get her back to God and the Bible. Need a red, white, and blue revival. Make America great again. Dirty politics will put you on trial. Try to take our free speech and our...
How many people was Joe Biden's dog bit?
That's
where we're going with
this. That's the only reason I fucking grabbed that one. But I also I was going to pull this clip and I forgot to. But there was Vance was in Minnesota,
right?
St. Paul, at a rally and went into this diner and it was full of people. People know that he's coming there, so obviously everybody flocks. But the video that I saw, it was a cell phone video. It wasn't like a production video of the campaign or whatever. It was a cell phone video. And he addressed everybody in the restaurant, just saying, hey, thank you for your support. We appreciate you. Obviously, Trump, Vance, 24, blah, blah, blah. So then he starts talking to the owner. And it's probably like a 6-7 minute video. It was fantastic. He's talking to the owner. And you can tell it's not rehearsed.
Right.
It's not a published thing.
It's unscripted.
Unscripted, off the cuff. And he was like, hey, I know we're hindering your business by all of us being here. I get it, but I appreciate you. So I should have pulled that one, but it was pretty long, so I didn't want to play that one. But it was just so cool to see, and all the comments that I saw after that video of how real
JD Vance
is.
JD Vance is a remarkable candidate for VP because he's real, specifically because the reason that he's real. And he was, even the day before, I want to say the day before he was actually announced at the convention, I heard reports that, he just was at like CVS, like just running around grabbing stuff. I mean, the guy is a dad. He's a husband. He hasn't been swallowed up by
his wife and kids were with him.
Yeah.
While he was there.
Right.
Like, it was just cool.
He hasn't been swallowed up by the swamp that is DC. So he hasn't been corrupted. And, people that have been there, and to a large extent, I'll say this, that's one reason that I like Donald Trump as well. He hasn't been corrupted. He does not need the job. He's been in private business. He has wealth. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the insurance. Tell me what Kamala...
He didn't take his salary.
That's correct. He never took a salary.
But Joe Biden did.
Joe Biden. I'd like to know, can we have a list?
Career politician, by the way.
Hey, 513, you're the Democrat guy. Could you provide us with a list of the charities that Joe Biden donated his presidential salary to every quarter?
Yes, please.
Please forward that to the show.
Or you can text me if you want.
Or text Jason. But, I'd like you to just, put your... The proof of yes, is it a large amount of money? No, probably not. But it's the general thought of it. I mean, it's just the offering of, you know what? I'm not doing this job for the money. And there can be no doubt that Joe Biden and his family, through all their myriad pyramid of offshore businesses, of bank accounts, of shell companies. They've made their money on the backs of the American people by selling access to the president and to the access to Joe Biden and selling that access.
And I would think that $1 million, because was it $250,000 a year? Is that roughly what it is?
Roughly
to be president?
I think it's more than that. I think it's like 4 something.
Is it?
I could be wrong.
But I'm sure Trump wished he'd have taken that money to put toward legal fees for these bullshit allegations.
Not only did they try to destroy the man legally through lawfare,
no pun intended, trumped up charges.
Right, trumped up charges, never been done before. But meanwhile, we have, and it's just, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Could you imagine being Donald Trump, right? And you're sitting there and you don't need this crap, and you're doing it for. I truly believe he's doing it for love of country. That's my belief. You might disagree with me, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you sit there, you prepare, you debate your apparent opponent, you fight all these legal battles that the government has waged against you. Okay, trying to destroy you legally, trying to besmirch your character. You come out of that relatively unscathed. You come out of that actually more popular than before, right?
Exactly.
So that doesn't stick. So then they take your opponent, who obviously you've already beaten in the arena of ideas through a debate, and they replace him in a process that's never been done before. And then someone attempts to take your life, puts a bullet through your ear, right past your skull, and you're almost killed, and he's still running for office. And now, based upon the media and based upon their love affair for Kamala, it's going to be a much tighter race than it was when he was running against Joe Biden. Yeah. And I find that, so at some point I'm like, when does Trump say, holy shit, what do I have to do to get elected in this country? Because it seems like not only do you have obviously every Democrat against you, obviously because they're Democrats, but you also have the vast majority of the media dead set against you. You have the weight of the federal government fighting you legally, okay, in ways that have never been done before. You have people, and no one yet knows, it's been over a month now, we still know very little, if anything, about the motives for the assassination attempt. We don't know where he was. We have no information on. Nothing's been released. We don't have any information as far as rumors of offshore accounts, if that's true or not true. I'd just like to know if it's true or not true.
The body got released to be cremated.
The body was released
before it was supposed to.
Right. The body was, my understanding, the body was released to be cremated by the FBI without any notification to the court or investigators to do any sort of like testing for drugs in his system or anything like forensic. And things are starting, as they say, things are starting to stink. And
big time.
What more needs to be done for a conservative to run a fair campaign and win an election without having the weight of not only the federal government, but this quote unquote maybe shadow government against you? I mean, it's got to be frustrating. So that's why at times when Trump says things that I sometimes wish, I'm like, God, don't say that and don't attack this. But I mean, think about it. Put yourself in his shoes for a second. He's trying to run a race and every damn thing is lined up against him. And he's still neck and neck with the anointed one, Neil from the Matrix.
The anointed.
Neil. Or is it Neo?
Neo.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I keep forgetting. But it's got to be. I know it's got to be frustrating, and that's why I sometimes give him grace. For example, I'll tell you this really quick story because we are running a little bit long. I'm not reading his comment because it's just blathering, and I don't care. It's just an idiot. Sorry, I didn't mean you're not an idiot. I don't know you, but your comments are idiotic. So I'm inferring.
Good cover.
Well, I don't know the guy, right, and he doesn't know me, but he knows of me. And I don't know him at all because I've never heard of you. But here's the deal. What was I talking about? Oh, so the lady, I'm sitting there today with the puppies, right? Just found out she's going to let us have the one puppy we wanted because I guess She didn't find his testicle, but whatever. She's 80 something years old. She goes, look, I'm a Republican. She looked me up on Facebook.
Oh no shit.
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, because I thought, I was kind of nervous for a second. I was like, oh shit, she's gonna be like, I hate your guts. You're not getting this dog, give it to anyone but you. Right. And I was gonna be like, my wife's gonna kill me. But
shit, Josh Girth, I need you to go get that dog.
So anyway, I'm sitting there, inside joke. So I'm sitting there and she goes, look, I'm a Republican. I agree with the Republican Party. She goes, I wish Trump would just shut up sometimes and not say the things. This is an 80-something-year-old woman, been around the block a few times, knows the world, and I respect our seniors because they have experience that we don't
absolutely.
have.
They've seen shit.
They've seen shit that we have not. As you get older, hopefully you get wiser, right? And you have a perspective that comes with age, and with age comes wisdom. And I appreciate that, and I respect the hell out of that. But she goes, and I'm going to vote for him. She goes, because he's what we need for this country. I just wish that sometimes he would shut his mouth. And I was like, wow, she is wise. And I wish so too. But I also, that's why I mentioned, imagine trying to be cool, right? Trying to keep your cool and having all this shit happen to you and being fought at every turn and, not bankrupted per se, because he's got the money, but that doesn't mean he should be spending it on legal bills because the federal government has a limitless source of attorneys to go after you.
Right.
So that's why I give him some deference there. And I understand probably better than a lot of people what he's going through when the deck is stacked against you. And so
it's got to be hard to wake up every.
It's got to be hard to wake up, and you got to stay positive, and then you got to go on the campaign trail. And he's going to have another press conference, which he stands up in front of the microphone. He takes questions from anybody. Tell me the last Democrat that's done that's running for president. I'll wait. I'll wait because it's been a while. Joe Biden, no. Kamala Harris, definitely not. Not yet, and probably not ever. Probably not before the election. Bill Clinton, yeah, he would take, okay, we go back to Bill Clinton. Barack Obama, he would take some questions. He'd stand there and have a press conference. And I guess I'm most frustrated because the quote-unquote media and the media types just don't see it as a big deal. They're like, oh, it's no big deal. And I'm like, but that's your job. You know what I'm saying?
Gain information. Ask questions to gain information to put out to the public.
Right. Your job is to interview the people the public office holders that the public can't get to. Right. You know what I'm saying? John Q. Public can't ask the questions of the president or the vice president or these people. Your job is to ask those questions and then provide that information to the public. That's your job.
You disseminate fucking news.
You have access to these people that we don't have access to. And I wish, if I was advising the Trump campaign, I would have a press conference every week. I would do an Elon Musk interview every week between now and the election. The rallies are great, but at the end of the day, I don't think you're changing the minds of the folks that are at the rallies.
Yeah, exactly. A rally's a rally. They're there to support you. You need to be in front of a camera.
That's right.
And getting asked the hard questions.
So that the people that are on the fence, look, the people that support, and that could go for both sides. The people that are going to support Kamala are going to support Kamala. People are going to support Trump are going to support Trump. What we're fighting over is these supposed independents in the middle. And it's hard to make a decision. I don't think it's actually beneficial for them to make a decision unless they have the information necessary to make an informed decision. And from one side, at least our side, I feel like they're getting access to a lot of the information because our candidate, my candidate, has the balls to stand in front of a camera and answer the questions. He's out there.
He's saying
the other candidate has hidden and won't speak and won't have a press conference and won't answer questions.
Yeah, it's lock and key.
Right.
Until she's at a rally.
And the rallies are nothing more.
Again,
yeah. And the rallies are useless. I'm not saying they're not fun, but for persuading votes,
you're showing up because you support them.
I show up because they're fun, they're supporting them. You get a certain degree of
but you're not bringing a Democrat to a Trump rally
No, I've talked to a few that have gone.
You make it something that'll go, but for the most
yeah.
part, the rally is just a fucking
bunch of Republicans, right?
Keep it running, keep it going that way.
Now we have some things coming up locally here in Anderson. We do have there's going to be at some point. I read there's going to be a 275 rally. And I did hear that. I got to be honest with you, and I don't mean to piss anybody off, so bear with me and understand this.
If anybody knows you, they'll deal with it.
And seriously, I'm not being mean, and I like those things because they do build momentum and they do build team. It's almost like a team building exercise. If you ever fell backwards in front of me, I probably wouldn't catch you, so I'd be bad for that. I'd be like, oh, that was stupid. Hope that hurt. Did you learn anything?
You just got to learn how to hit
gravity
and stream.
So anyway, at the end of the day, here's the deal. I want to affect votes. You know what I mean? I want to knock on doors. I want to help reach those people that maybe haven't been reached yet, rather than driving around don't get me wrong, man. I drove to the tip of Michigan with 2 Donald Trump faces on either side of my truck and my big Hulk Trumpomania sticker on the back of my car. Okay. And let me tell you something. I will tell you this as a very unscientific survey, right? Do you know how many thumbs up I got?
Oh, a ton. I'm sure.
A ton.
I'm sure.
I mean, I got a ton. Nobody flipped me off. Nobody cut me off. I was kind of surprised because I was expecting a couple of flip offs,
especially going up like
through Michigan,
into Michigan,
right?
Yeah.
Which has a lot of union workers up there that are. My dad was a Democrat, so I'm a Democrat too, right?
Yeah, or you're in Whitmer country.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't like her outside of Detroit and Lansing. They really don't like her. The regular people of Michigan are good, solid, hardworking people, and they're conservative in nature. But I'll tell you this: I got a ton of thumbs ups, and I was expecting, and that's not scientific. I grant you that, but no one ever said. I think I saw, I honest to God, I think I saw one, might have been here. I saw one Harris sign. I saw one Harris for president sign. And I kind of laughed. I was like, well, that's desperate. Good luck to you.
Right.
But it's going to be a close election,
It
folks.
is what it is.
So my point in saying this is, yes, rallies are important. The truck rally around 275 will probably be a lot of fun, and I hope everyone has a good time. But here's what I hope you take from that. I hope you take the energy from these rallies, and I hope you take the energy from these 275 if there's going to be a truck rally, and there is around 275. I hope you get energized from that, but I hope you take that energy and you use it. Like sign up for Campaign Sidekick and get data from the campaign to find out what doors to knock on, or come to a local Republican club meeting or your local Republican club, or call your local county Republican club and say, how do I get involved? How can I help with this campaign? Is there any way, shape, or form I could do something? Driving around, even me, driving around with Trump on my car,
it doesn't fix the problem.
Doesn't get me any more votes. It's fun. It's kind of cool. It shows who I'm voting for. It's almost like, having a UC sticker on the back of your car or something like that. It shows who you're supporting, and sometimes it spurs some great engagement at gas stations. I've had some great conversations with folks at gas stations that I don't know. I mean, usually, I'm a fairly private person. I don't, just start talking about, hey, what are you doing?
You don't talk to anybody.
All right. So, I mean, in that regards, it's a good thing, but I want everyone to take this energy and don't think that you've done enough. I want you to do so much more and harness that emotion, harness that energy, and get out there and get engaged. And if you need help, telling you how you can affect this campaign, because you and I will agree, you've heard it before. You're going to hear it again. You hear it on the radio. You hear it. This is probably a very, very pivotal election in the direction of this country, which path we take, which is why Elon Musk, who has supported Democrats and has supported Republicans, has decided he's all in for Donald Trump because he sees the fork in the road and he doesn't like where
I actually never thought I'd see that.
I didn't either.
I never thought I'd see that.
I didn't either. But I love the fact now, and the one thing I hope we keep in mind through all this discussion, even with 513, is look, having free speech like this and being able to come on this program and us exposing our ideas. Oh, I like your shirt. Yeah. It doesn't look that good on you, but I do like it.
Well, I'm fat. I can't help it.
Keep drinking beer.
I know.
Anyway, you're not that fat. You're just
big boned.
Big bone. You're not fat.
I have a big frame.
Have another. So anyway, that's a cool shirt. So anyway, we're talking about, we're expressing our ideas here, and we're discussing local events, elections, everything else. You know what we don't have to fear, you and I? We don't have to fear the government busting in the door, not yet, and arresting us.
Yeah.
Why don't we share that little story from England about what happened to a poor guy in Great Britain? And that's why I always say, look overseas if you want to see what liberalism brings. This has been tried in other places, folks. And if we have the story, there's a poor guy.
I think I lost it.
Oh, well, there's a poor guy
Sorry,
in
I'll get it.
England I'm going to cover for him while he's looking on his computer. Poor guy in England that shared, I think it was a post or something like that, and he actually got sentenced. And it was in response to a migrant killing some kids, right?
Yep.
So fast just up there and show. Look what could happen here in the United States.
So yeah, this is complete bullshit. This was covered on Failure to Stop as well, but the UK is now putting people in jail for their social media posts and whatever. And my brother told me this right before we started, but UK man sentenced to 3 years in prison over a post he made on X. So the article reads, UK sentenced a man to 3 years in prison because of his X post. Wayne O'Rourke was sentenced to 3 years in prison for social media posts he made after 3 young girls were stabbed to death in Southport. Last month, a knife attack in Southport in the northwest of England left 3 young children dead, 5 others in critical condition, and 2 adults also hurt. So as they go down, I'm going to screw these names up, and I don't mean to, and I hate that I'm probably going to, but murder children have now been named by Marseille police as 9-year-old Elise De Silva.
Just do the first.
Aguirre. Bebe King and 7-year-old Elise Stanko. According to AP, witnesses described seeing bloody children running from a community center where a Taylor Swift themed dance and yoga event for the children aged about 6 to 11 was taking place. Emergency services responded to the scene, and police reported that they had detained a 17-year-old male suspect and seized a weapon. UK law prevents them from disclosing his name. Southport residents were livid after authorities tried to downplay the deadly stabbing. Wayne O'Rourke was arrested for, quote-unquote, stirring up racial hatred on X.
Right.
So here's his mugshot, I'm assuming. But his statement that he said was, people of Southport, where the fuck are you?
Right.
Get out on the street. He got arrested and sentenced to 3 years in fucking jail.
3 years in jail because he reacted to violence in his neighborhood and wanted the public to protest.
I'm glad you didn't let me forget that. Thank you.
You're welcome, because it's important.
Yeah.
And if we had an outline, we wouldn't have. But
You shut your mouth. Well, make the fucking outline, bro.
Well, I would. I should, but I'm not. I'm like you.
You show up 10 minutes before we start.
5
so
minutes.
Never mind.
Dan
Carroll.
Who's been taught well. Point of the matter is that, look, this is speech they don't like. They're trying to silence it. They make it a crime. The man didn't incite violence. He was saying, get out there and protest, because you should demand more. If as I've said ad nauseum, look it up, Jason. The primary function of government is what? Safety. And security.
Yep.
That's the primary function of any government, local, state, federal. Safety and security. Without that, everything else is kind of meaningless. So this guy wanted to hold his government, local government, responsible. And what did he get for that? 3 years in prison in England.
But this shit's
it's coming here.
It's not just England, because if you post something and it fucking hits over there, they're looking to extradite.
Well, the British, talked about,
they're attempting to extradite.
The British guy doesn't understand the gun laws in the United States, like we talked about the bobbies coming. I'm sorry, you broke a law. You posted something on X, and we have decided that it's insightful to someone in the UK, so we're going to come arrest you.
How ironic would this be, though?
I hope they don't see my page.
How ironic would this be? illegal immigrants, murders coming into our country. You post something against the British, they extradite you. Guess what? Your spot's taken in the United States. You're out.
Jeez. Yeah, it would be ironic.
Your seat's taken. It's like
Your
going to,
seat's taken.
it's like going to a concert. You went to the
you get up.
bathroom.
You get up at the wrong time.
Yeah. It's your shit at the RNC.
It is just ridiculous.
It's fucking retarded.
And that is liberalism, because that's what they have over there is unabashed liberalism. And look, I just can't stress it enough. You have a choice. I want you guys to get involved, get engaged, get educated, and most importantly, give back. It's time to give back. Give a little, and whether if you can just do one thing, great. Do that one thing. But we can't have you just do nothing.
Right.
And then if you do nothing, please understand that there's going to be, if everyone does nothing, obviously we're going to have a result that we probably aren't happy with.
What I say, you reap what you sow, right?
You reap what you sow. So
I'm going to
wrap it up.
I'm going to read this ad read real quick.
Oh, we got one?
Yeah, we do. We're going to read this one.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I reminded you last week.
I know. Well, we didn't do one last week.
And so we're going to do
it because I chose not to.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Ohio Valley Productions got a party going on. Then you need to check out Ohio Valley Productions. OVP is your one-stop shop for corporate functions, fundraisers, festivals, even a backyard barbecue. We're talking about top talent, live acts, DJs, karaoke, trivia, and more. They'll have your party rocking. Quality entertainment and a team with the most experience in the business combined to make your event the one to remember. Got a vision for a great time? Make it happen with Ohio Valley Productions. Just drop an email to Dan@OhioValleyProductions.com. That's Dan@OhioValleyProductions.com. And rock on.
All right.
As he says.
We'll have to make a schedule for this week because I do have some family coming in town.
Yeah, we definitely got to go.
So I'll get with you on that. I don't know if we'll be back next Sunday or not, or you'll have to remote or however you want to do it. I have the pleasure of welcoming into town my older brother and his two daughters and my one daughter, my one daughter's husband.
I would like to meet one person from your family.
They wouldn't like you.
I know.
You'd be scared.
Well, they don't like you.
That's probably true. Well, they like me.
I know
they love me, but they don't. Yeah,
they don't
I mean,
like
we'll
you.
figure that out. But I'm going to be playing, tour guide, and I'll be kind of busy, so we'll see how that rolls. But
yeah, schedule will come out though. We'll
trying to keep a normal schedule for you folks, and then after that, gosh, Labor Day is going to be here in 2 weeks, and that weekend
leaves started falling today.
Yeah, I saw your yard. It's just fascinating how fast time's going by. It just seems like it's just sailing by. I mean,
Joe and I just said that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and it gets worse as you get older. But so we'll make a schedule. But I really appreciate. I think the numbers have been looking pretty good, and I appreciate everybody listening and sharing, and most importantly, hitting the like button. I noticed that we have some local liberals that have been awfully quiet on social media, and the ones I'm speaking about specifically.
Yes, sir.
It's not so sassy anymore that I'm back on Facebook with my 5,000 followers, but it can't happen without you guys. So please tune in, listen, share, like, and we really appreciate you being here.
Love you guys, and I will pay attention to Instagram and the Facebook, and we'll let you know when we're coming back. But it'll be a few days. It won't be too long. But
no, it won't be too long.
About the same duration.
Today's Sunday. We might hit an early show this week.
Yes,
I like it. Like a Tuesday show.
I like it.
Probably do a Tuesday show.
Let's do Tuesday.
All right, let's schedule a
Tuesday
show.
Everybody, mark your calendars. Tuesday,
and we can have some feedback from the opening ceremonies at the DNC.
Yes.
Maybe they'll be like the Paris Olympics. They should do that. They should do that blue guy should be in Chicago. Papa Smurf.
I love it.